I feel called to engage in significant, and I have engaged in significant self-reflection around what exactly is my responsibility in this moment.
It's no longer acceptable, I think, to just say the right words of support without also supporting actions for real change.
I feel called on to work with my faculty, staff, and students to find ways that we can address these issues through teaching, research, and outreach.
My colleagues and I need to engage in deep self-reflection to identify the ways in which our practices and policies, intentionally or unintentionally, unfairly burden our students, staff, and faculty who are Black, Indigenous, or people of color, so that we can be intentionally anti-racist in our practices.
The school's strategic plan for diversity centers on 5 intersecting critical domains that include climate, communication, policies, the hiring of faculty of color, and our overall leadership.
One of the things I feel compelled to do and to encourage others to do is be prepared to fight the long fight, like diversifying the teaching force in America. We know that there are big changes in the demographics, and students of color are becoming an increasingly larger proportion of our K-12 population, and yet our teaching population hasn't changed in a very long time.
I feel called to engage our students and our university community in the difficult conversations, the authentic learning experiences, and the collaborative work with our community partners that's required to address institutional racism and inequality.
I feel called to do everything possible to create a school that is as inclusive as it can possibly be, a school in which we have a lot of diversity across students, faculty, and staff, and a school where our programs are infused with a focus that is explicitly anti-racist.
I'm pursuing my own personal learning journey, listening, recognizing my limitations, and continuing to grow to become a strong ally for racial justice. I feel called to work diligently for meaningful and tangible change within my sphere of influence.
I feel called to make myself accountable, as well as my faculty, staff, and students, for our actions and our behavior as we interact with each other and begin to discuss these difficult topics during this time.
We simply cannot stay neutral about George Floyd, Breonna Taylor, Ahmaud Arbery, or any of the other countless Black individuals that have lost their lives to police brutality.
I feel compelled to examine what we do to prepare our future teachers, counselors, and leaders in their ability to address systemic racism, to be anti-racist, and to build support for diverse communities.
We are recognizing that it's not simply enough to say that we believe in social justice. We need to be anti-racist. We need to work against the systems and the structures that are perpetuating inequities in our society.
We've really been almost the epicenter of everything that's been happening in the last few weeks. I have probably used the phone more than I expected to do, and calling faculty and staff, particularly faculty of color, to just make sure they're doing okay and to hear their reaction to what's been going on.
And my specific call to action that I'm holding myself accountable for is to call it as I see it, when I see it, to whomever is essential.
And I also feel compelled at this time to urge other administrators, particularly white men in university administration, to take the same personal responsibility both to themselves and to the organizations to address the structural issues we have in higher education.
I want to deploy resources to promote deep and mutualistic collaboration with community members in ways that genuinely support our communities.
I feel called to learn more and to do more. In my learning, I'm pursuing my own personal learning journey, listening, recognizing my limitations, and continuing to grow to become a strong ally for racial justice.
We can work on curriculum so that K-12 students as well as higher education students understand what we mean by systemic racism and have a good and solid knowledge of the history of race relations in the country and what we need to do going forward.
Through teaching, research, and outreach. These are our core missions, and we have good expertise in these areas, and I think we can really make a difference.
We also have to take responsibility for the fact that our very own profession is complicit in the stronghold systemic racism has on society. And it is up to us to break down the structures within our school systems and develop new ways of teaching and learning that privilege all of the assets that our students bring into the classroom and end policies and practices that negatively impact students of color disproportionately.
Only with this self-examination can we take true action and make progress toward racial justice in our educational systems and in our communities.
And that means actually having to name the fact that we might have to tear down some structures that we really value.
I think that's been one of the hardest things, is to think about how we're going to live into our values.
This is the time that we must make a difference in our college, for the next generation, and in our community.
Through our research, our instructional programs, and our community engagement, colleges of education have a unique opportunity to be transformational leaders.
We stand strongly in alignment with our Big 10 peers to fight racial injustice through our outreach activities, our research, and our teaching.
Together,
Together,
we move forward.
Now
Now more than ever.